Hi, my name is Ashley Penner. I'm an Associate Director here at the University Career Center. One of the things that I love to work with students on is nailing their interview. And so today we're going to be talking about a few tips and tricks that you can use to help yourself feel more confident and more prepared for your next interview. The first thing that I recommend students doing is doing some research prior to their interview. Now, if you've talked with this company at a job fair or a networking event, you may know a little bit about them before you jump in, which is definitely not a bad thing. However, your research should be focused on multiple things. One of the things that I want you to pay attention to is the location, especially if it's a face-to-face interview. Know what traffic looks like, what the route looks like, is there any construction, so that you know how to get there on time and make a very positive first impression. Your goal is to be in the office 15 minutes early. The next thing that research will help you with is asking informed questions at the end of the interview. One significant indicator as to how engaged you are in the job search process is what types of questions you ask at the end of the interview. Asking well thought out, prepared questions show that you are trying to make sure that this is the right fit for you. And doing your research ahead of time for that interview is going to help you know important information about the company, its status, and also what type of position you might be going into. So be prepared to ask well thought out questions and use your research to help you there. Next thing that I want you to think about as you're preparing for is to practice telling your story. So one of the things that we know in an interview is that they are evaluating you to determine if you're going to be a good fit for this position and a good fit for the company. And with that, I often hear students who struggle to sell their experiences in a way that's compelling and authentic. So when we get into the interview process, our goal is not to be so rehearsed that we are not there anymore. You want to make sure that your personality is present, but that it's the most professional, most polished version of your personality. So when you're getting into that mode of preparing for the interview, practice audibly answering common questions. Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What's your weakness? Why are you interested in this position? Are questions that you can expect and can be very great opportunities to weave your goals, your passions, your purpose into a compelling narrative as to why they should hire you. Another thing that you want to think about during the interview is to make sure that you're ending on a positive. So in an interview, you will likely have multiple opportunities to end on a negative, whether that be about yourself in the weakness question, whether that be about group members, if you're asked about a time when someone failed in a collaborative effort, or about other people. One of the questions that we've asked in mock interviews before is, tell us about your least favorite professor and why. And so with these questions, there's the opportunity to get very negative about someone else. And really that doesn't say anything about them, but it says a lot about you. When you get the opportunity to talk about someone else, particularly in a challenging or a rough experience, make sure you're not assigning them negative attributes. Focus on the behavior that was problematic as opposed to the person and labeling the person as problematic. This helps you come across as polished, professional, and someone who can work well with others, which we all have to do. The final recommendation that I have is to follow up. So a follow-up email doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be very intensive, and it shouldn't be longer than a few sentences, but your goal is to make sure that you show that you reflected on that experience afterwards, that you appreciated the time. If you're able to send a mailed thank you note, that can be a really great way to stand out, particularly after a face-to-face interview. But if an email is what you have access to, then send an email. Make sure that it's personalized. Make sure that you double check that the email address is correct, and that will help you get across that hiring manager, recruiter's desk one more time in a positive way. If you have any questions about polishing your interviewing skills or going more in depth on any of the tips that we've talked about today, please feel free to schedule an appointment with the University Career Center.